Hey guys, today I wanted to share my drugstore makeup starter kit. So if you are a beginner to makeup, these are some suggestions for products that I think are really user-friendly, really hard to mess up. If you're just building a makeup collection from scratch, these are what I would recommend picking up first. Also, if you're doing any holiday shopping for someone in your life, maybe someone that is getting started with makeup, maybe some of these would make a good stocking stuffer. I don't know, just saying, just throwing that out there. So I've got my starter kit in this bag. This bag is obviously way bigger than it needed to be. First things first, we're going to skip over primer because I am of the opinion that you really don't need a primer in your makeup routine. So I'm just going to hop straight into foundation, and my number one foundation recommendation for anyone, whether you're a beginner to makeup or you've been into makeup for a long time. Mine is empty, but it's the ColourPop Pretty Fresh foundation. I would still say this is my favorite all-purpose foundation. I love this foundation because it has a satin finish. It's a little bit hydrating, but it's not going to look dewy or shiny on your skin. I really think this is the kind of foundation that could work for many different skin types. It has medium coverage. It looks beautiful on the skin. I have never had a bad foundation day when I've worn this foundation, and I really miss it. I wasn't planning on repurchasing it just yet because I have other foundations I need to use up as well, but I really miss having this in my collection. So this would be my number one foundation recommendation. I really don't think you can go wrong with this one. And if you're wondering, I wear the shade Fair 30N. My number one concealer, I think this is such a great beginner-friendly concealer, and this is my personal favorite as well. This is the NYX Bear With Me Concealer Serum. This has a really nice texture. I do feel like a lot of concealers can look cakey or crepey on the under eyes, but this one is very hydrating and lightweight. I feel like a lot of hydrating concealers have a super dewy finish. They feel sticky, they settle into your creases really fast because they're super emollient, but this concealer doesn't do any of that, and it actually offers really solid medium coverage even though it is so lightweight. This is one of those concealers that just looks good in real life, not just on the internet. I actually like this better than the Kosas Revealer Concealer, which is super popular. This is an alleged dupe for that one. I don't think they're exact dupes by any means. Like, the texture is definitely different. This one I do feel like is a little bit lighter weight. My powder recommendation is a pressed powder. I do think pressed powders are a little bit more beginner friendly than a loose powder, and also they're just easier to take with you on the go. And my absolute favorite pressed powder, this is one that I've used up and repurchased, is the CoverGirl Clean Fresh pressed powder. I wear the shade Fair. This is the powder I have today all over my face. Even though I normally do use loose powders on my under eyes, I do really like the way that this one works on the under eyes as well. I don't find that it's overly drying. I would definitely describe this powder as mattifying. I mean, most powders are going to be mattifying unless they have like shimmer to them, but this one is mattifying without looking very dry or powdery or cakey. I like that it's really finely milled, and it's really easy to pick up just the right amount of powder on your brush. You don't have to really like swirl your brush in too hard, but it also doesn't kick up a ton of powder when you dip your brush in either. So it's really easy to just get the perfect amount of powder on the face to just set your makeup down, and it looks very smooth and blurred on the skin. And I have normal to dry skin, by the way, so I'm not the oiliest person out there by any means. But again, I think this is a powder that could work for you whether you have oily skin or dry skin. I love it. One area where I do feel like the drugstore is lacking is bronzer. At least bronzers with decent shade ranges. It's kind of hard to find, but I do have a favorite affordable powder bronzer. It's not actually available in drugstores, but it is still very affordably priced. And it's the AOA Studio Perfect Bronzer. This one doesn't have the best shade range, but it does have a decent gradient from this lightest shade to a pretty deep shade. If anyone does have any good drugstore bronzers with an extensive shade range, I'd love to find more favorites in that category. But this is a really good bronzer, and it is $1. I have the shade Frappe, and you can see it's not too much darker than my skin tone, which is what I typically go for in a bronzer, is something that's really just maybe a few shades darker, but nothing more than that, or else it's gonna look muddy and just way too intense on me. This one I find I'm able to get a nice, just natural look. I like that it doesn't lean super orange or yellow. It's just a great neutral kind of caramely tone. So if you're looking for a good powder bronzer, I definitely don't think you can go wrong with these. And if you are shopping on Shop Miss A, I would also recommend picking up some of their Paw Paw sponges because these are amazing sponges. I do have some cream bronzers from the drugstore that I like. One that I do think is really beginner friendly is the e.l.f. Putty Bronzer. I have the shade Feelin' Shady, which is actually more of like a cool toned contour color for me. I have a huge dip in here. I've used so much of it, but the reason why I think this is great for beginners is because it's a very sheer buildable formula, which I love because I don't have to worry about going too overboard. It always looks really natural on my skin, and they have lots of other shades as well. And this is from the matte line, but they do also have a luminous version, which I haven't tried. I do prefer matte bronzers typically. And if you're looking for something in stick form, I was actually just talking yesterday about how I don't like dual-ended products. I don't buy dual-ended products anymore just because I end up using up one side faster than the other, and that just bothers me. But I can definitely still see the appeal of a dual-ended stick. It's just one thing you have to reach for instead of two. It takes up less space in your makeup bag. So I think for beginners, dual-ended sticks can definitely make sense. And this is a really good product. This is the NYX Wonder Stick. This has a cream contour side and a cream highlighter side. They also make some with blushes on both sides. This I have in the shade Fair, and this is one of those rare stick products that you can actually apply to your face directly from the stick, and it's not going to mess up your foundation. It's still going to blend out really evenly. A lot of stick products, you actually have to pick them up on a brush first, then apply them to your face for them to work well. But I really love that this one actually works the way that, in my opinion, a stick product should work. It also has really great staying power. In fact, better staying power than the Oma Beauty contour stick, which is much more pricey. So the NYX Wonder Stick, even though I personally am not a fan of dual-ended products for myself, I definitely still think this would make a great beginner-friendly product. And this right here is actually my highlighter recommendation for this video as well. And I've actually been on a cream highlighter kick recently thanks to this product. I used to only wear powder highlighter, but I love this cream highlighter stick, and I love how natural it looks while still giving a really beautiful glow to the cheeks. My number one powder blush recommendation would have to be the Flower Beauty Flower Pots blushes. These are so user-friendly. I have the shade Sweet Pea, and this is such a beautiful, soft, baby pink color. I love this formula. I wish all powder blushes felt like this. Like, it just feels so velvety smooth. It's so easy to apply. It never looks patchy. It blends in just instantaneously, and I think if you're looking to just start out your collection, I would highly recommend these flower blushes. And if you wanted to try a liquid or cream blush, I am a huge fan of the NYX Sweet Cheeks blush. This I have in the shade Nude Tude, and this is such a stunning nude blush color. I actually feel like a lot of lipsticks are this color, but not a lot of blushes are this color, and I really love this shade for blush. It's like this warm, spicy, beige nude color, and this is also one of the most user-friendly cream blush formulas that I've found. It does come with a doe foot applicator, which I feel like is kind of intimidating at first because, like, at first I thought it was going to be super pigmented because it looks like it would be, but it actually does sheer out really nicely. So I don't have to be too careful about how much I'm applying. I can even dot on quite a bit and it still blends out really easily, and it has a really smooth velvety texture as well. So love this. I've been wearing this blush so much over the past few months. I would have to say this is my current favorite in my collection, but I also think this would make a great blush for a beginner. Setting spray is another step that I definitely think you can skip, but if you want to just give your makeup a little bit of extra wear time, I've really loved all of the setting sprays I've tried from Makeup Revolution. They have some glowy ones, they have some long wear ones, but I'd have to say my number one recommendation for a long wearing setting spray from Revolution is the Sport Fix Lasting Hold Fixing Spray. I really like this one. I find this similar to like the Urban Decay All Nighter. The nice thing about this one also is that it doesn't have a scent to it. A lot of the Makeup Revolution setting sprays do have a pretty strong scent, and this one is actually specifically meant for sport, like if you need your makeup to last through a lot of like heavy physical activity. But I think it's great just for day to day if you want to keep your makeup lasting an extra long time. It also helps to just take away the look of powderiness on your face, and this one I find leaves me just with a natural finish, so it's not super dewy, but it's not matte either. Moving into some eye products now, I definitely think if you're going to be wearing eyeshadow, you're going to want to get a good eyeshadow primer. It's going to help keep your eyeshadows from fading and creasing. Some people find that they don't need an eyeshadow primer, and if that's you, then I say, you know, definitely skip it. But for me, it is an absolute non-negotiable. And this is my favorite one. This is actually another thing that I used up in the past and repurchased, and I still love it. This is the Milani eyeshadow primer. This has been around for forever. And it's like, I think it's still like $7 or $8, really not a bad deal. This little tube will last you forever. A little bit goes a long way. This is every bit as good as the Urban Decay All Nighter, which I've also had in the past. I like that one too, but I like this one better, especially because it doesn't have that applicator. It's just a simple squeeze tube. So this I find is the best type of packaging for an eyeshadow primer, because once you get to the end, it'll be a lot easier to get everything out than if you had like an annoying applicator in there. That's just a personal preference, but I'll just take a little dab of this, tap it all over my lid from basically my lash line up to my brow bone, that whole area. Give it about 30 seconds to set before you go in with your eyeshadow. So I'll usually apply this, then do my brows, and then by the time I've done my brows, this has dried down. And by the time I'm done with that, this has dried down to a nice kind of powdery matte finish, which makes a great base for blending eyeshadows on top. Yeah, this is a true workhorse product in my routine. I really have missed it. I went a long time without having one of these. I've used a bunch of other eyeshadow primers in between, but now that I've gone back to this one, I really do think this is the best. Moving into the topic of brows, this one's kind of tricky because everyone is so different with their brow preferences. I would say the most beginner-friendly eyebrow product is going to be a tinted brow gel, and I don't have this one currently, but I would recommend the e.l.f. Wow Brow. I think this one is great for beginners. Now, this is not going to be like one of those really long hold brow gels that's going to glue your brows onto your face and keep them in place all day. It's not one of those. This is more of a light hold, kind of fluffy brow product. It does have a little bit of pigment to it, but it's not so much that it's going to make a mess on your face. But if you want to take it one step further than a tinted brow gel, I think the next most beginner-friendly eyebrow option for actually filling in your brows would be a brow pencil. And there are so many great brow pencils at the drugstore, and I feel like they're all kind of the same. But the one I'll recommend today, because I have it right here, are the Kokie brow pencils. I think these are great. And this is just your standard fine tip brow pencil, very similar to something like the ABH Brow Wiz. It has a little spoolie on one end, and kind of random, but I really like that this packaging is square, so you can set it down and it's not going to roll off of your desk. But I also don't think this is the only good brow pencil option at the drugstore. This is just what I happen to have on hand right now, and I do think it's really good. But I know Kokie's not that easy to find in most places, but I've also really enjoyed similar brow pencils from CoverGirl, NYX, e.l.f. Really, I think what it comes down to is just finding the brand that carries a good shade match for you, because even like the blonde shade from Kokie is going to be different from the blonde shade from NYX. For eyeshadow, I have some cream eyeshadows that I really like, and then I also have a couple of small drugstore palettes that I'll recommend. I think one of the most beginner-friendly eyeshadow products is going to be an eyeshadow stick, and my favorite drugstore eyeshadow sticks are the e.l.f. and the Hard Candy. I usually am able to get away with wearing these without eyeshadow primer underneath, and they stay on my eyes all day. Unless I'm gonna have a really long day or I'm like in a really humid environment or something, then I will just go in with some eyeshadow primer first. I would say if you have really oily eyelids, really crease-prone eyelids, you might just want to go ahead and put a little eyeshadow primer on underneath these. But I just love the ease of application with these. These are the e.l.f. No Budge shadow sticks. I have the shades Copper Chic, Rose Gold, and Magnetic Pull. Copper Chic is my favorite for just a mid-tone kind of bronzy brown color. I'll just wear this as a one and done shadow, and it's so pretty. Magnetic Pull is really pretty too for a kind of cool toned taupe shade. And then I also have Rose Gold, which is also gorgeous. They have lots of other shades as well, but I love these. And I also think the Hard Candy eyeshadow stick formula is very similar to the e.l.f. ones. They're also around the same price point. I have two more taupe shades here, Pony and Stoned. My tip-top favorite, I would say my favorite actually out of all my eyeshadow sticks, at least right now, is the Hard Candy eyeshadow stick in the shade Stoned. This one's actually matte and it just gives the perfect wash of color to my lids. I also have the shade Pony, which is more of a satin finish, purpley taupe. My favorite thing to do for just a quick out the door look is to apply an eyeshadow stick to my lid and then top it with a ColourPop Super Shock shadow. I think ColourPop Super Shock shadows are some of the most expensive looking drugstore priced products out there, and these have been around for years, and these are just as pretty as some of the Natasha Denona shimmers that I've tried. I just think they're amazing. So my favorite shade is Ritz. This one I love wearing on top of the Hard Candy Stoned eyeshadow stick. These two together look so high-end on the eyes. It almost gives that sort of glossy lid look. I also have the shade A Little Quirky, which is a little bit deeper than Ritz, but kind of a similar bronzy taupe shade with some silver shimmer to it. But these are also so easy to use. You can just apply them with your fingers. I never have any fallout with these. I just can't believe that these are like under $10 a piece. I can really see why people get addicted to these. Like, I would love to have just a collection of a bunch of different shades of these because they are so so much fun. But I would say that Ritz is my number one favorite. I think there's a reason why this is such a cult favorite. And if you're more of an eyeshadow palette person, I've got a couple of really affordable palettes that are amazing quality. The first one is from Essence. This is the Essence Coral Me Maybe eyeshadow palette, but they have a bunch of different shades of these 6 pans. They've got some more nude ones. They have like a smoky one, a green, a blue, a rosy one. They've got a bunch of different shades. This is the only one I have, but I love it for a warm, peachy toned palette. Even though the tones in here are peachy, I still find these very wearable for every day. They don't pull insanely orange or anything. And even though this is a very compact monochrome palette, I love that it ranges from really light to really deep, and you've got some good mid-tones as well. So I've gotten a lot of very different looks using this palette. Of course, I can't speak for the quality of the other shades, but Coral Me Maybe I think is amazing. The mattes are super smooth and blendable. The shimmers are gorgeous. I cannot believe that this is only $4. Another palette I cannot believe the price on is the Wet n Wild 10 pan. This I have in the shade Call Me Sunshine. They have a bunch of other shades as well. Wet n Wild has been crushing it in the eyeshadow department for years. Long before the Drugstore had really many good eyeshadow formulas, Wet n Wild was out there and they were crushing it. I do not even know how many Wet n Wild palettes I've panned over the years. I've had like 2 iterations of Walking on Eggshells. I haven't tried the newest version that's in like the long 5 pan. So they have some 5 pans that are just like half the size of this, and they also have quite a few 10 pan options. But this is Call Me Sunshine and reminds me a lot of Urban Decay Naked Honey. I actually think this is better. Like the quality is definitely just as good, if not better. And I think it even has some more interesting shades, including this really pretty sparkly shiny duochrome shade here. For drugstore eyeliner, my one and only recommendation are the NYX Epic Wear liner sticks. They have a ton of colors. These are the 3 colors I have, but they also have some more neutral shades. Like I think they have a regular black shade, a brown shade. These are amazing. These have such great staying power. They glide on really smoothly. And these also hold up better in the waterline than any other eyeliner pencil I've tried. I don't think any eyeliner is going to 100% stay in the waterline for hours and hours. But by the end of the day, I can still see the color from these in my waterline, and that in and of itself I think is impressive. My favorite shade is Rose Gold. I love popping this in my lower waterline or just across my lower lash line. Really great for brightening the under eye, and it's a little bit different than just your standard nude eyeliner pencil. Love that. And I also have the shades Periwinkle Pop and Chill Blue. Honestly, I don't recommend buying colorful pencil liners unless you're gonna wear them really often. Like if it's a color you know you're gonna wear all the time, then I say go for it. But otherwise, I have stopped buying colored eyeliners because I can just use an eyeshadow. But I still like these. I would personally, like if I were to buy more shades of this, I would probably stick to like more neutral colors in the future, just because I don't wear these shades very often. But these are the shades Chill Blue and Periwinkle Pop, and they are really pretty. I do enjoy these for just like a little, either like an inner corner pop of color or on the lower lash line, the inner waterline. And these pencils, I do want to note, these are sharpenable even though they're plastic. They look like they would be retractable, but they're not. You do have to sharpen them, so just heads up there. My top favorite drugstore mascara, I actually just opened a fresh tube of this today, and I'm so happy to have this again. This is the Milani Highly Rated Anti-Gravity Mascara. Mascara is another thing that's tricky to recommend because everyone is so different, and just because like this formula doesn't smudge on me, for example, doesn't mean it's not going to smudge on someone else. Everyone's lashes are different too, so we all have different preferences when it comes to mascara, so I think this is one area again where it's probably going to take a little trial and error to find what works for you, but I do think the Milani Anti-Gravity would be a great place to start. This has a rubber bristle brush, which is my personal favorite type of brush because I just like how it really gets in between each lash. This is incredibly volumizing. This is one of those mascaras that if you apply like 2 coats of it, you're gonna look like you have false lashes on. I know not everyone likes that look. If you want something that's a little bit more natural looking, a little bit more fluttery, but still really lengthening and volumizing, the CoverGirl Lash Blast, just the original CoverGirl Lash Blast in the orange tube. That one I've also really enjoyed in the past, and that's another one that so many people love. I don't think you'd be taking too big of a risk by buying it. I think there's a pretty good chance you're gonna like it. All right, we've made it now to the lip category. I've got a few different types of lip products to recommend here. First up, lip pencils. No surprise here if you watch a lot of my videos, sorry if I sound like a broken record, but I am in love with the Kokie retractable lip liners. These have been my favorite lip pencils for at least 2 years now. My absolute favorite shade, the one I'm wearing right now, is the shade Nude. This is my perfect slightly brownish beige nude lip color. It's so pretty. It just looks so natural on my lips. I wear this at least a couple times a week, and I have a lot of makeup, so that's saying a lot. The great thing about these Kokie lip pencils is that they are budge proof. If I swatch this on the back of my hand and I don't wipe it off within like a couple minutes, it is going to stay locked in for hours. Even after I wash my hands, it'll still be on there. So I think that is a testament to how long wearing these are. That's a retractable lip pencil. If you prefer a wooden lip pencil that you sharpen, I also highly recommend the Essence Soft and Precise lip pencils. I have the shade Happy in this. Now this is a bit of a more stiff formula, so I will warn you of that. I actually kind of like that in a lip pencil because even though this isn't quite as budge proof as the Kokie ones, it really does stay on your lips for a long time. And I always say these give a really pretty blurred look to the lips. So I love that, especially like I have small lips, so sometimes I do like to overline. I know that's controversial, but I don't care. I like overlining my lips, okay? But a formula like this makes overlining a lot easier because it's not going to give you like a really harsh line. It gives a nice soft, translucent, slightly blurred line to the lips, and you can even like blend it out with your finger even more. One of my favorite types of lip products these days is a tinted lip balm. I think these are like the definition of user-friendly, and I'm a big fan of the e.l.f. Hydrating Core Lip Shines. I have two shades. The shade Cheery is a more orangey coral shade. That's really fun in the spring and summer. My favorite, because this one is just the perfect everyday lip color. This is the kind of lip color that I will just throw in my purse to reapply throughout the day. This is the shade Happy, and this is like my perfect My Lips But Better mauvey nude shade. I love these because they're really thin and comfortable on the lips. They don't feel thick or sticky at all. This is the kind of thing I can just put on without a mirror even, and they have good color payoff without being completely opaque. For just a traditional bullet lipstick, I have really been taken by surprise with the O Face Satin Lipstick. I have the shade No Doubt, and this is what I'm wearing today on top of the Kokie Nude Lip Liner. Unlike some of the cheaper e.l.f. lip products, these have really sturdy packaging, so I would feel confident like putting this in my purse and not have to worry about the packaging breaking or it coming open. And the formula itself is very creamy, glides on really smoothly, doesn't tug at the lips, really doesn't cling to dry patches either. And I find that this color stays on my lips for a long time. But I think as far as just a traditional bullet lipstick goes, these are really comfortable. I don't even wear regular lipstick that often anymore, but I have still really been enjoying this one recently. And for a lip gloss, I love the e.l.f. Lip Plumping Glosses. I've had this one for a long time. I've also used up another shade. This is the shade Champagne Glam, and this is something I've kind of rediscovered recently. It does have a slight plumping effect. It does give a little bit of a tingle to the lips, and Champagne Glam is just the most stunning, like shimmery champagne topper. I'm gonna put this actually on top of that other lipstick just so I can show what it looks like. Even though this has some little micro shimmer to it, it doesn't look crazy or glittery on my lips. I also loved the shade Pink Cosmo for a milky pink. They have a bunch of other shades. I'm really tempted to get more. But just for an everyday lip gloss, these are amazing. I know they've been out for a while. I don't think they get much hype anymore, but I think these really feel high-end to me. Okay, we made it to the end. I hope that this drugstore makeup starter kit was helpful, whether you are just starting out with makeup or someone in your life is starting out and you wanted to get maybe some gift ideas for them. And even if you are a seasoned makeup enthusiast, I still think anyone could enjoy these products, not just beginners. So as always, everything I mentioned will be listed and linked down below, and if you do shop through any of those links, I will receive a commission, so thank you so much if you do. Otherwise, I hope you all have an amazing rest of your day, and I will talk to you again very soon in my next video. Bye!